Before you spend a single dollar on a room divider, there are 3 things stores don't want you to notice. And once you see them, you will never look at a $300 folding screen the same way again. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to check before you buy and then show you 6 alternatives that avoid every one of those mistakes for a fraction of the price. Room dividers are one of the most overpriced categories in home furniture. Not because they are difficult to make, but because they are marketed as a design piece instead of what they actually are, which is a simple structure built from a handful of materials. Most of what you're paying for at retails is the styling, the photography, and the brand name attached to this listing, not the actual cost of the production. And in this video, I am breaking down the specific mistakes people make when shopping for one, walking you through why each mistake actually matters for how the piece performs in your space, and then giving you 6 real alternatives with real prices. So stay until the end because the checklist I'll give you applies to any room divider you are considering buying, whether it's a store-bought or something you're building yourself. The first mistake is buying based on the product photo alone. A folding screen photographed under warm, styled lighting in a beautifully arranged room can completely hide the fact that the fabric is thin, the frame is lightweight particle board, or the panels don't actually sit flat once they are unpacked in your space. Product photography is designed to sell a feeling and not to show you the construction. Before buying anything, scroll down and read the actual materials listed in the description. Terms like engineered wood and MDF are budget materials, and there is nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you are paying a premium price for a budget material because the photo made it look like solid wood. The second mistake is paying extra for a design label attached to a product that is functionally identical to something priced a third as much. Terms like boho, mid-century, or japandi describe an aesthetic, not a level of quality or durability. So a wood slat panel is a wood slat, whether it's sold in a design boutique with a 4-figure price tag or in a slumber aisle of a hardware store for under $30. The materials cost is almost always the same. What changes is the markup attached to the styling and the name. The third mistake is the one that actually makes your room feel worse after you've bought it. Choosing a solid, opaque, floor-to-ceiling divider for a small space. It might look subdued in the listing photo, but a solid divider blocks light completely, and a small room with blocked natural light reads as smaller and more cramped, not more organized. This is the opposite of what most people are trying to achieve when they buy one in the first place. So a divider that lets some light or air pass through, a curtain, an open shelf, a row of hanging plants creates the same visual separation without that trade-off. And the fourth mistake is skipping the measuring step entirely and assuming a standard size will fit. Room dividers marketed as one size fit all often assume an 8-foot ceiling and a specific wall gap. And if your space is even slightly different, you end up with a divider that doesn't reach the ceiling, leaves a visible gap on either sides, or has to be returned entirely. So measuring your ceiling height and the width of your gap before buying anything takes 5 minutes and avoids the single most common reasons people end up disappointed with a room divider purchase. The fifth mistake, especially if you rent, is not checking how the divider actually attaches to your space before buying it. Some folding screens are genuinely freestanding, but plenty of room dividers listings are actually wall-mounted shelvings, unit, or ceiling track systems that require drilling. If you're a renter, this detail is buried in the product description, not the headline. And missing it is how people end up either damaging a wall or returning a product that seemed perfect in the photos. So alternative one, of course, is tension rod and curtain dividers. So why does this work? A curtain divider fully blocks sightlines while staying lightweight, completely removable, and still light permeable through the waves of the fabric. So it avoids the small space trap of a solid wall. What to avoid? So a thin see-through curtain reads as a shower curtain, not a room feature, and cheapens the entire look no matter how nice the rod is. So hanging it floor to ceiling, not floor to window height, in a heavier blackout or linen blend fabric, and measure your ceiling height first so there's no gap at the top. Alternative 2, open cube storage shelf. This is approximately $15 verified prices. So why does this work? Positioned perpendicular to the wall, it creates a visual break while letting light pass through the open cubes, which solves the exact light blocking problem covered in mistake 3. What to avoid when doing this? Overfilling every single cube reads as clutter rather than intentional design, and doing the clean look you're going for. So this is how you fix it, of course, styling it with a few plans and books, leaving most cubes deliberately empty, and check the weight limit per cube before loading it up. Alternative 3, no drill sliding curtain track. A tension rod mounted track wedges between two walls using pressure. No screws, which directly solves the mounting concern from mistake 5. Full sliding door function with zero wall damage. Assuming no drill automatically means flimsy. The actual failure point is buying a rod that's undersized for the gap it's meant to fill. So fixing this problem is of course by measuring the exact gap width first and choose a rod rated for that width with some room to spare in its adjustment range. And then alternative 4 is fabric wrapped foam board screen. So why does this work? It's fully freestanding, no wall, ceiling or rod required at all, making it the most flexible option on this list if you move often or rent short term. What to avoid is thin, flimsy hinges that make the panel wobble or collapse under their own weight. That's the exact difference between something that looks handmade and something that looks store-bought. So the fix is usually use sturdy fabric hinges or hinge tape between 3 or 4 wrapped foam boards and test that it stands freely before calling it finished. Alternative 5 is of course hanging plants and macrame divider. Why this works is because a row of hangers divide the space visually without blocking airflow or light at all, the exact opposite trade-off of a solid divider and ideal for genuinely tight spaces. So what to avoid in this is spacing the hangers too far apart, which reads as scattered rather than an intentional dividing line. So how do you fix that? Is of course hang them evenly spaced at the same height from a tension rod or removable ceiling hooks so the eye reads it as one continuous feature. Alternative 6 is wood bead curtain divider. So why this works is that it adds texture and movement to the room while letting light and air pass through completely, avoiding the heaviness of a solid screen. And what to avoid with this is clamped and even strands, which reads as an unfinished craft project rather than a finished piece. And the fix of this is of course space the strands evenly and deliberately. That consistency is what separates intentional from thrown together. What a fair price actually looks like by category. So one of the things worth knowing before you shop, fair pricing looks different depending on the type of divider. So here is a rough benchmark for each category based on material cost rather than retail markups. A curtain style divider including the rod should reasonably cost between $15 to $35. Anything significantly higher is paying for the brand on the fabric, not the fabric itself. An open shelf or cubed storage divider should land between $15 and $40 for something genuinely open enough to let light through. Solid heavy bookcases marketed as dividers often start closer to $80, and that price jump is almost entirely about material thickness and finishes, not function. A folding screen, if you're buying rather than building one, fairly priced sits between $40 and $70 for a basic fabric and frame version. The $200 to $300 version are typically differentiated by a designer print or a hardwood frame, not a meaningful difference in how well it divides a room. A hanging or beaded divider should cost between $15 and $30. These are some of the cheapest to produce, so a high price tag here is almost always pure markup. Knowing this range means you can glance at any listing and immediately tell whether you're looking at a fair price or a styling premium before you even get to checking the materials or the mounting method. A few questions that come up constantly whenever this topic comes up, so let's clear this up quickly. Does a room divider actually reduce noise? Only slightly. and only with dense, heavy materials. A lightweight curtain or open shelf won't meaningfully block sound. So if noise is your main concern, a divider isn't the right tool for that specific problem. Can you use any of this in a rental? Every alternative in this video was chosen specifically because it avoids drilling or permanent wall damage. So yes, all 6 are renter safe. Do room dividers make a small space feel smaller? Only if you choose a solid floor to ceiling opaque option, which is exactly the mistake this video opened with. A divider that lets light or air through avoids that problem entirely. So add up all 6 alternatives here and you're still looking at less than the price of a single store-bought folding screen from a design retailer. So before you buy any room divider, store-bought or DIY, run it through this checklist. Does the material description match the photo, or is it hiding a cheaper frame behind good lighting? Are you paying for a genuine function or just a label? Does it let some light or air through, or will it make a small space feel smaller? Have you actually measured your ceiling height and the gap width, and do you know exactly how it mounts, especially if you're renting? If it fails even one of those, it's not the right divider for your space, no matter how well it is styled online. Let me know in the comments which one you're going with, and if you want the full budget breakdown with even more options. See you in the next one.